He is a Bassmaster Open winner. He is a Bassmaster EQ winner. He is a Bassmaster Classic double qualifier. Laker Howell joins me this week. I'm
Bob Cobb for the Bassmaster. Welcome to Mercer.
Hey, happy Wednesday. Welcome one, welcome all. Friends, family, freeloaders, fishing freaks, and of course, you, my humpers. Happy hump day to all of you, and welcome into the Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast that goes by my last name, which is Mercer. This is the 235th edition of the Mercer Podcast, and I hope wherever you're watching or listening from that life is treating you well. We have a great show here this week. We are joined by Laker Howell, which I'm sure you've seen on some other podcasts because he has literally been on every freaking fishing podcast there is on the planet. I mean, he has gone on a podcast tour that would make a Bassmaster Classic champion blush, but we got him here and we got some unique stories. And I'll be honest, there's very few individuals that have spent as much time staring into each other's eyes as me and Laker Howell. Because he was the little kid that sat in the front row of every single weigh-in. And obviously he looked up at the stage and he was in the front row. So obviously I looked at him and we've known each other for a long, long time. He was a little kid and now he is got the body of a young rock and is a bass whooping machine. It's been awesome to watch his transition. And I think you're going to enjoy this. We bring up some stories that are pretty funny, and this was a great conversation. So you're gonna dig this one. Before we get into this show, though, I want to do something that I don't often do, and that's take time to read a viewer's message. First of all of you that take the time to comment or message, it honestly means the world to me. You taking the time to comment or just even give a simple thumbs up on YouTube makes a world of difference. Every single comment is something that tells the algorithm that this show matters. And I thank you for doing that. If you're not doing it, I would welcome you to do it. Continue to flood each and every show with a comment. It truly means the world to me. I try to get back to all of you, and it's what makes this show matter to the algorithm. But what proves to me that this show matters is messages like this. And I'm going to read this. This was a direct message, so I'm not going to give the person's name out, but they know who they are when I read this. But I just think this needs to be read. I'm not 100% sure if this is the proper way to ask about this, but on several Mercer podcasts, Dave has talked about being kind to each other and taking care of your mental health. We recently lost my teenage nephew because he struggled with these issues. If Dave could continue to occasionally mention and bring to light these issues, it would mean the world to me and my family. Hopefully, if it helps just one person or family, it would be well worth it. On a happier note, I love the podcast, never miss lots of nice things, and I appreciate that. First of all, I'm very sorry for what you and your family are going through. There may not be a tougher thing to deal with, and it's not enough, but my thoughts and prayers are with you, and I encourage everybody else to send positive energy to this family that's dealing with such a tough thing. Secondly, thank you for caring enough about this show to take the time to send me that message, because that message will be a reminder for me to constantly mention things like this. And the reason I thought it was important to read this is because every once in a while we'll get somebody who's like, just never mind the small talk, just get to your guests. This doesn't matter. Well, messages like that matter. You matter. Anybody that's hearing this, you matter. Don't be afraid to reach out to your friends, to reach out to your buddies, just to see how they're doing. Remind people that they matter. We live in a world that is increasingly more We are more connected, but more disconnected at the exact same time. I mean, it is easier to get in touch with anybody in the world, but we're so disconnected because everything's done via the phone. Everything is done via text. Nobody actually calls anybody that much anymore. I would go as far as to say a phone call means more to people now than it did 10 years ago because nobody calls. So call your buddies. Just say hi. Just see how they're doing. Because not only will you make them feel better, but when you get off the phone, you'll feel better. And remember, you matter. So, and I don't know if I dealt with that right, but I just dealt with it how I felt. I just felt that needed to be read. And again, I didn't include the person's name on purpose. They know who I'm talking to. So let's just jump right into this show. Laker Howell. We live in a world where increasingly people want to point out what's wrong with certain things. Problems with professional angling, this, that, and the other thing. And there's always going to be problems with everything. But I'm going to point out something that's right. Laker freaking Howell. I mean, you look at him as far as somebody coming into this sport. I mean, literally, he was bred for this sport. Everybody knows who his father is. Everybody knows who his family is and what they've accomplished. But Laker Howell is a 5-star recruit coming into this sport. If you look at him physically, mentally, spiritually, in every single way, he makes this sport better. He obviously has the skills on the water. He obviously has the skills on a microphone. He has the skills in front of a camera. He's just a very marketable, amazing part of this sport. And no different than schools would be like, we got a 5-star QB coming here. Laker Howell is a 5-star recruit in professional bass fishing. And the sport of professional bass fishing is better with people like Laker Howell in it. So I'm so thankful that he's chosen to chase this dream. And I think after you watch this podcast, you will agree with me that the sport of fishing is better because of people like Laker Howell. Without further ado, let's travel all the way to Gunnersville, Alabama, and hook up with Laker Howell. Laker Howell, this is a weird one for me, I'll be honest. I mean, everything you're accomplishing is incredible, but I still kind of look at you and your brother, Oakley, and there's kids that watch the weigh-ins, anglers, kids, but you guys would sit and watch almost the entire weigh-in every time, rain or shine. And now we're doing this.
It didn't matter what the weather was, man. You remember that time down, I think it was in Texas. I think it was Texas when it was pouring down rain and everybody was under all the tents and I didn't have a rain suit and I was right up there on the front row watching the weigh in just intently. Because you called me out in the stage and from the stage, you were like, man, I ain't ever seen nobody that likes watching the weigh-in as much as this kid right here.
Well, I mean, you'd seen a few of them and for you to sit through it is pretty cool. When I think of you back then, what were you thinking back then? Were you just watching your dad or were you sitting in those seats being like, I'm going to be on that stage one day? I mean, sure, it was a mixture of all of that, but
yeah. It was a mix of wow, this is really cool, and a mix of once I kind of got old enough, when I was a real little kid, I mean, obviously you think, well, shoot, I want to do this, I want to do that. But when I got to be probably before the Classic, I was probably 12 or 13, I started understanding more about it. And I really got ate up with it around that age. And that's when, sitting in the stands, I was like, I got to get up there one day. I don't know how, but I got to get up there one day. And then, Dad won the Classic, and I told him at the Classic that day, I was like, I'm going to be on this stage one day, I promise. So, for all that to come full circle, and now next year I get to, walk across the stage with you and stuff, that's going to be. And on top of that, I wanted him to make the Classic so bad with me, dude, because first one, me and him in it together would just be, Cinderella story. But Yeah, it's going to be really weird, having my dad watching me on the stage this time. Like I told him that I was like, I ain't trying to get sentimental or nothing, but this is going to be weird. I'm going to walk across the stage knowing you're out there, watching me. This is going to be really weird.
When you first told him that you wanted to do this for a living, what was his reaction?
So I was probably 15 or 16 when I told him I like genuinely because I was getting old enough to really know what it meant. Because before that, every time I'd tell him, he'd be like, you could do it, man, all that. But then when I got around that age, he kind of he didn't encourage me not to do it, but he kind of was like warning me. He's like, it's a lot of money and he struggled for a lot of years. Like me and Mom, we struggled for like 5 years before I ever won a tournament. And we were like living in credit card debt. So he explained all the ins and outs of it to me beforehand. So I kind of knew what was going on with it. And I was dead set on it. So then, I was just fishing every single day, daylight to dark in the summer out here as a 16-year-old, because we had that boat he bought back from when he won the Classic. And, I'd be out there every day, throwing a frog and stuff in the mats, because I just love doing that. And my mom saw there was a 2-day BFL coming to Guntersville, and I had never fished a big tournament. I'd fished like one high school event ever. Never fished a tournament by myself. And so she calls me. She's like, "Hey, you ought to fish that 2-day." And I'm like, "Mom, I'm broke. I don't have any money." She was like, "Well, I'll cover this one for you just to see it." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I sign up for it 3 days before the thing starts. 2-day event. I've never fished an event more than 1 day in my life. And the 2 guys I drew, one dude I'm still friends with. The other guy I scared the living daylights out of running in that boat because the waves got bad. And we ran all the way up the lake like 30 minutes, and I didn't know how to not go fast. So I beat this guy to death. I felt so bad. We come in that day and he was not happy, but I ended up, he was not. My dad walks to the dock and he's like bragging about the Triton and stuff. He says, "Man, that Triton ride's really good, don't it?" And the guy looked at it and he was like, "No."
No, with him in the driver's seat.
Yeah, not with him. But that event, I got 7th place in a 2-day against all the locals and the guides here. And I made $968. I still got a picture of the of the check in my room in there. Boy, I thought I was rich. I had almost $1,000, man. Shoot, you couldn't tell me nothing. So then after that, I just wanted to do nothing but that. So then fished high school stuff and almost won the state championship my senior year. Made the the national championship. That's what it is. I made the national championship twice, which was cool. And then my senior year, me and my partner, we won AOI by a lot, blew it out. And then, from there, I thought about going to college, but I didn't really know if I wanted to do the college deal or not, So I went to Bryan College for like 2 months, and I was on the fishing team and stuff. And I was like, this just ain't for me. So I left and came back, signed up for online school. So I did get a degree. I did. I got a 2-year degree, but I majored in fishing. You know what I mean? So,
what was your actual degree in?
Marketing. I got a marketing degree.
Makes sense.
2-year marketing. So, I learned some stuff. I learned how to write an email. I learned how to do, stuff that you kind of need, how to use a keyboard and all that kind of stuff. But, I did a 22-hour semester and a 20-hour semester on the road while I was fishing tournaments. Like when I was 18, they just turned me loose, and I went across the country just fishing Toyotas wherever I could get in them. So,
what was that like, going to school and being Randy Howell's son? There's a lot of benefits that come with that, but I'm sure there's also a little bit of pressure, a little bit of, you instantly show up. You could have been a kid just from Guntersville, Alabama, but you're not. Your dad's a Bassmaster Classic champion. Is there some pressure with that?
Yeah, I feel like, I feel like really in general, no matter where you go, when it doesn't matter whose pro son it is. Anybody that's got a professional dad, the Lanes, Cal, the same way, any of them, Bo Brown, and he's on the elites, being the son of another elite. So, all that, I feel like kind of you already have a spotlight on you. It's kind of like people expect you to do good, or they want to be able to say, oh, well, he tried, but he could never do what his dad did. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like everybody's watching. And that's the thing that you kind of have to get out of your head, I feel like, because if you do, then, you focus on the wrong thing. And then fishing is all psychological already pretty much. So, you got to just kind of focus on the next bass and just shut everything else out. But it definitely is a different level of pressure. Plus that, and, with like sponsors and stuff, people expect you just to get whatever sponsors you want because of your name and stuff. And, Livingston, obviously, I started with them because I was, they're like family with dad and everything. But the rest of everybody I've got, like Daiwa, I love Daiwa, but the guy that was over Daiwa right off the bat, he told me, and I love this about him. He told me, he said, I don't care who your dad is. He said, if you can't catch me, you ain't performing. I ain't giving you crap. It's like, okay, deal. So
you proved that you can catch them. I don't think anyone's doubting that now.
I mean, here recently, I don't know.
So let's go back to that little kid that used to sit in the front row. What did you think of the sport then? Like, do you think you'd be doing this are you following in your dad's foot? Like, if your father had been a carpenter, do you still think you would have become a bass pro? Like, are you following your dad's footsteps, or did you just were you born to do this?
I think, shoot, that's a good question. I really think that following his footsteps was what started it, because obviously, because me and my brother are very different. Like my brother, he's going to Bama. He's going to be a lawyer like that. He's doing that type deal. Now, I will say, and I hate that I'm going to say this live because he's going to probably see this. He is more naturally gifted at fishing than I am, which is really frustrating because he doesn't use it. Like, he's so good. If he ever decided to come out and start fishing, man, he would excel really fast at this. So, but yeah, I mean, starting out, like as a kid, you're looking up there on the stage and you're thinking, man, I want to be up there. Cause we lived in the campgrounds on the road with all those pros. So I got to be around anybody that was in the campground, like Ish Monroe. He was camping a good bit. John Cruz, Kevin Short, back when he was in the elites and stuff. I took his trash all the time, Steve Kennedy and list goes on and on. So like you see all these people and, you're around them, you grow up around them, and, you don't realize the little nuggets of knowledge you pick up from each person. So then all of that combined, I think everything combined just kind of helps. Like, I definitely had a jump start being around all that, So I think the mindset definitely was, I want to do this one day. I just don't know how, but I know I love catching bass. I don't want to do nothing else. So like watching dad on that stage and everybody else, that definitely is what kind of instilled that in me. Otherwise, if he was a carpenter, I probably wouldn't be doing this. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, and maybe you would. I mean, eventually it's, I mean, you can't change the way you grew up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like and I think everybody ends up, I mean, if you're really lucky, you end up doing what you're meant to do. And I think everybody's meant to do something. Evidently, your brother is not only more talented and naturally talented in fishing, but more talented in school if he's going to become a lawyer. Yeah. Did you know that when you were younger? Did you, in your head, did you think we're both going to be pro anglers? Or did you think, oh, this dude's going to do other things?
I wanted him to really bad. I still do. But, when we were younger, he would always say it too. But then as we got a little bit older, he's got a more money mindset. So, he told us when I got into high school fishing and I started fishing other tournaments, he was getting, older in his mind pretty fast. So he started to see how little of profits you get unless you're winning in these tournaments. And he was like, I want to make real money, Dad. I'm going to go be a lawyer and do this. So I don't know. We've always been a little different, but I really did hope he would always do this because it's pretty ridiculous how good he is if he ever went out and did it. It's frustrating. It really is. You get in a boat with him, he just wears me out every time.
Well, don't tell too many people that. Yeah. But no, I mean, it's that's a good relationship with a brother. There's plenty of brothers that would throw their brother under the bus every situation they get. So you guys have always been tight. But you mentioned, Cal Lane and Bo Browning. And I mean, if you look at Marty Robinson's kids and all of the kids, Fred Urbanus's kids, all the kids that, I feel like I had a unique viewpoint of like the future of fishing and didn't even realize it. Like after takeoff every day, I remember Mitchell Robinson. I remember all of you guys like fishing right around the docks there. And I mean, and if you look at what that group of kids that just used to take over marina has become in this sport, it's pretty amazing. Do you feel like, is there a connection with those guys? Because you did grow up in a very unique way. Most people don't live on the road the way you guys have.
No, definitely. And, like you said, the whole list that you just listed right there. I mean, we actually just had the Robinsons here this week. They've been at the house, all week. We've been hanging out with them, playing basketball and talking fishing. So, I mean, it's really cool to see, everybody you grow up with and all of us kind of doing the same thing, no matter what the tour is. I mean, you probably really did have a cool viewpoint on it, because now that you're looking back on it, you're like, dang, I was looking at all these kids out there. Hey, them marinas hated seeing us coming, man. We used to beat them down in the marinas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And and it's still happening. Like I look on the Elite Series, I look at Fisher Lowen. I mean, he's bred to do, like it is pretty wild. What do you think the advantage you guys have? Like, what part of the sport do you guys understand before you show up growing up around it that you wouldn't if you grew up around a carpenter or whatever?
I think growing up on the road, like you were mentioning, us getting to fish everywhere like we did, that gave us more variety and like where we were in the country, because you get to see all these different things. We were talking about stories the other night, like our moms, like the Robinsons, friend, we used to do a lot of stuff with them. So we'd go to I think it was Champlain or something one time, but my brother and Mitchell Robinson would always fish together. Me and Marshall fish together. We'd have a little tournament. We'd have these little kayaks. We'd go rent kayaks, we'd go out. Well, they got the bright idea to figure out how to get out of the river we were in and go into the open water of Lake Champlain on a freaking kayak by themselves. And they were little, man. So our moms, both of them would fish together as well. And they could catch a fish too, if you didn't know. It's ridiculous as well, but they would go out there chasing them. They'd have to go find them every time. We went to Minnesota one time, did the same thing, rented some kayaks, and I just decided to go on a side quest and go across the whole lake to the other. I paddle for a mile across this place to this other island and get over there and not catch anything. But you learn a lot of stuff everywhere you're going. The whole point of it is you're learning stuff everywhere you go. So we have that variety. And then on top of that, all of our dads have already been in the business, right? So that's the side that it's a really weird sport, because it's the only sport where I feel like nobody wants to tell you how to do it. Nobody wants to like coach you into it. Like basketball, baseball, football, there's managers, there's people that are like, this is how you do it. Fix your swing, fix your throw. Your stance is wrong. When you're in fishing, nobody, like, it's a competition. It's all solo. So whoever can have the best marketing strategy to go in and get sponsors, they're not going to tell the rest of you, how to do that, because then it's, less. So it's a really, like, everybody's friends, but at the end of the day, nobody wants to help the next guy coming in very often. Like, it's very rare to find somebody that genuinely wants to help somebody and give them the knowledge they need to come do this. So I feel like, starting out outside of the world of fishing, for the most part, like as kids in the world of fishing, we kind of get to see that, and we get kind of a crash course without realizing what we're learning as we're growing up on how to deal with sponsors and how to talk to people and how to be a face for somebody that wants you to promote their brand, and also the variety of lakes we went to as a kid. So I think it's kind of the whole package. I think that's why you see so many of the kids in fishing. There's very few that haven't pursued the world of fishing that grew up in it.
Today's high-tech fishing world can be a real pain in the neck, especially if you're running the wrong mounts. Beat Down Outdoors, they bring the graph to you. And they support this podcast and care enough about you to make this a short ad read. Check out Beat Down Outdoors. Now back to the show. Yeah. I also think that you get over you see people come into the sport and they try to treat it like other sports. They try to treat it like football. You know what I mean? Like where they're jacked up. You guys have got over that you've seen your dad try so hard, but fail when he's trying hard. But you've also seen him just be him and win when he's just being himself. So I think there's so many parts of it. What's different now that you're doing this? Yeah. What's different than what you dreamed when you were a little kid?
What's different? There's a lot different. I didn't realize how much work the shows are, like going to the shows and standing around the shows and all that. I mean, as well as anybody, you've been to more of them than probably any of us. But I mean, the shows and working that type stuff. And then, there's really no off season. They think everybody that watches this thinks, we get this 3 to 4 month off period. You don't really get off season. Like that off season is when you're busting your butt trying to make phone calls, and you got to get the new boat wrap figured out. You got to figure out what states you're going to get that done. Then you got to figure out flights for this. Then you got to go to this state for a sponsor shoot or something. And then it's just constant. So, my wife, when we got together, when we started dating, I told her straight up to begin with, I was like, now look, I'm going to be gone a lot if you're going to stay around with me. You don't understand. And she was like, okay, I'm with you. And now that I am gone so much, she's like, I don't regret it a bit. Like I ain't going nowhere. I love this, but you are gone a lot. It's like nonstop all over the place, man. So I think that's the difference, because I used to think you'd go fish a tournament, then you come home, you get some time off, and you really don't. You come home and it's, right back to it, whatever the next step is to make sure that everything runs smoothly. Because if you slack off on the sponsorship stuff and you're doing good in fishing, there's somebody else that's stepping in your place on the sponsorship stuff, or vice versa,
When you were growing up, did it ever frustrate you to live life on the road? Or did you even at the time realize that, hey, this is pretty cool what I'm getting to do?
I think a little bit it did, because until I was old. Yeah, I think until I was old enough to really realize how cool it was that we were doing all this, because, my parents, they had a camper and RV the whole time. So like we would leave and not be home for 3 months at a time. We'd be gone, we'd stay, and we'd fish everywhere. It was great. We get to see all our friends at the campgrounds, but then, the tournaments during like the school year for the kids that weren't homeschooled like we were, that's where it kind of got a little boring sometimes, because, we had a 1 hour limit on our video games a day. So once that was done, if we didn't have like a good place to fish, it was like, the crap are we doing here, dude? This is boring, But, yeah. I mean, looking back now, it definitely was really awesome. But at the time, I mean, there were some tournaments where we'd be in like a gravel parking lot with our camper in the middle of nowhere with no water around us to do anything on. So, it did get a little frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's also natural as a kid. Like, I think there's kids going to school that would look at you and be like, look where he gets to go. I mean, I'm stuck just going to the school. And then you look at the kids in the school and you're like, they get to go to school every day, which, I just think that's human nature to look at things like that.
Grass is always greener.
That is the truth. Yep. You also, one thing I thought about before we talked, and I honestly never stopped to think about this, but I'm not asking you to go any direction in this, but you, when you were developing in this sport, also went through a weird thing as a kid. You went through the split. Like, what was the split like? I know how much, and everybody's talked. I mean, it was tough on a lot of people, but as a kid who kind of wasn't involved in it, like your whole world kind of changed. What do you remember about that?
Dude, that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like, it didn't matter, because I got to see both sides of it, right?
Yeah.
So it was like just button heads, both ways. And then, the other tour came in out of nowhere, and they just showed up to the picture. So it was really strange because from my perspective, you grow up around one group and you think, all right, cool. Like I'm cool with these people for as long as I live because I ain't got nothing to do with it. My dad's the one that moved. So I'm thinking, I'm just friends with everybody. I don't ever make enemies. I don't try to, at least. If I do, I'm sorry. But anyway, so, where I'd go to a weigh-in or something, like when there was a tournament that came to Guntersville, I was actually 2 events that came to Guntersville and they were on both sides. So, I mean, it was like when I go to the weigh-in to watch the weigh-in, I go to the weigh-in to watch and I'd, walk around the back and there'd be certain people that, with each organization wouldn't even talk to me. And I'm like, what did I do?
Really?
I didn't do nothing. So it was definitely strange. But then once it's all kind of leveled out, it's, it's back to normal again. Everybody just kind of is, fine with everything. But yeah, at the time I thought like, man, what did I do? I didn't do nothing. This is weird. So then, you just kind of roll with it and you see the people that, there still were people on either side that were, that didn't change at all. But there were a handful that was like, what's up, dude? And they just look at you. And I'm like, hey, sorry. I don't know what I did to you, but sorry.
I feel like I relate with your feeling on it a lot because I as a guy working, I'm like, well, I'm going to work with this group in this factory for the rest of my life until I retire. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, guess what? You're not. And then you get relationships with the new people. But it was kind of a weird. I think people forget that when people want to talk about, this league's better than this league, the base of all that, there's a bunch of really good people who, and I'm including the anglers in this, that were making decisions that they thought were the right decision for them and their family and the future on both sides. And I think people remove the emotion. Like it was a fairly emotional time in the sport. Like it was. And what made it even worse is then you'd go online and you're dealing with this emotional thing. Then you go online and people are like, yeah, well, this is what's right. And this is what, and you're like, yeah, but you're not like, thank God I never grew up around a divorce, but I feel like it was a lot of like, you're just a kid, part of this, there's a divorce happening. And I like both sides. I don't, it is wild. It is wild.
And it was really weird for me too, especially because while that was all going on, I was fishing both sides. Yeah. So like, it was really strange for me because I'd fish both sides because I just love catching bass and love being in a tournament. I hate when I don't have a tournament. So like I'd be at a tournament and weighing in and stuff. And it was just very uncomfortable wherever you were. If you were fishing both divisions, they were like, it was almost like, all right, you got to pick a side. It was like red versus blue almost. It was weird,
It was a weird time, and and I also wonder how much of that is like. I think there's a realness to that, but I also think part of that's also like how you feel. Like you're just like before, you never thought about that. You're just like, hey, my dad's a Bassmaster Elite Series pro. I grew up around this, and then. Yeah, but now your dad's not, and you're at an elite. You know what I mean? Like there is a weirdness, but that's life.
It's definitely different.
Yeah, I mean, guess what? All I can guarantee you is there'll be more changes in the future. There will always, that's literally what life is. But I look at where you are now. I mean, you're a good-looking kid, you beautiful wife. You got the body of a young rock, winning bass tournaments. Why is all this happening for you?
Hey, I think it's all God, man. I know it's all God because there ain't no reason that my all over the place self should be able to do any of this because and this ain't me bragging a bit at all. So when I tell you this story, this is just how the Lord blesses sometimes. So when I got to like I know Hank, I don't know if you watched the weigh-in that day at Leach when I won Leach, but he was talking about how he saw me at breakfast, and I don't know why, but I'm kind of on the Steve Kennedy plan a little bit. You know how Steve used to really not practice much. It's like I get up, I hate waking up early. Like I don't know how many guys are like that, but I hate waking up early to go, do anything. So I'll get up, at like 7:30 is pretty early for me, right? So I'll get up at like 7:30, and my dad rags me about it all the time. My buddies, all my fishing partners, they all are like, dude, you're fishing this big of a tournament and you're getting up at 8 a.m. going to breakfast. Like I go to breakfast every single day of practice. It doesn't matter what lake I'm at. I find a breakfast joint like a diner or a Cracker Barrel or something. I eat breakfast and then I go fishing, and I fish until my mind checks out. So it can be dark or it can be 5 p.m. So like the way I look at it is I'm looking for clues. So if I get out there and I quit finding clues that day and my mind's like, I don't want to be out here no more. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm going in. I can come back at it again tomorrow because you get, 3 days of it. So all that being said, there's no reason that somebody that don't practice as much as I do should be able to go and, have the season I've had without the Lord behind me. Cause I mean, it's incredible what's happened this year. So I'm just loving it. Cause every time I get in a tournament where I do good, I just love catching bass. The whole time I'm out there, like that live footage at Wheeler, that was me every day out there. I was just by myself without a camera. I'm like freaking out every fish I caught. So every one I catch, I'm like, yes, another bass. This is great. So I think that it's definitely all God. I mean, I've put a lot of time on the water and stuff, and he's shown me a lot of things on the water and taught me stuff. But, to have everything line up the way it has this year, I mean, there's no other explanation in my mind.
So this transformation into the hulking physique that you have today, when did it start? When did you start working out?
So I was 6 foot tall when I was 13.
Yeah.
And I was like 150 pounds. I was like a little beanpole, right? So, as you get a little older, you start thinking, well, shoot, people, you hear the jokes from your buddies. You're riding a chicken, your legs are so little, all this stuff. So when I was, let me think, 16. Yeah, when I was 16, I got in with, there's a buddy of mine around here in Gunnersville, that works for an angler in town, actually. And I've been around him forever. And you want to talk about a massive person. He's huge. I mean, it's the strength that man has is ridiculous. I've watched him bench press 500 pounds for reps. I mean, it's ridiculous how strong he is. So, we get in he finally, and he don't sugarcoat nothing for me. He was like, man, you're skinny. You need to get in the gym with me. You got to get bigger. You should be able to be lifting a lot with that frame you got. I'm like, this little scrawny kid, getting in the gym with him. So I started on 16 with him, and I mean, he freaking killed me in there for like 2 straight years. And then I just like, I don't like going a week without going to the gym. Even at a tournament, I'll go find a gym wherever I'm at. I'll go and I got a Planet Fitness. I got a dang Crunch Fitness membership. I'll go find a place and I'll go work out. But I started on 16, and then I just got obsessed with it, with getting bigger and stronger and seeing how much I can lift. So now it's just like every day I work out like 4 or 5 days a week now. So it's when I'm not fishing, I'm in the gym probably.
Is there like an end goal with this, or is it just fitness for life? Like, I mean, are you constantly trying to get, like, how many freaking eggs are you eating a day?
So me and my wife, she jokes about this all the time because every year my egg count goes up per day. So right now I eat 8 eggs every morning, which that starts the day off. I have to have about 4,000 calories to maintain the body weight I'm at right now. Otherwise I lose weight. So, and 5,000 is when I'm in the gym every day because you burn more off and stuff. But you ever seen the 60 pack of eggs at Publix? We buy the
flat.
60 pack now. Yeah, the big flat 60 pack. Yeah, we got a 60-pack of eggs now. But the end goal is, I don't know if anybody really knows this or not, but I'll tell it on here. I've got a 26-degree curve in my back. So I've got bad scoliosis because I grew so fast, right? So if I ever got the surgery, which I don't want, I would come out like 2 inches taller. And right around the time I started working out with Justin, the guy I was telling you about, I went to a specialist in Atlanta, and he told me, he said, you need to start working out and never stop and keep a strong core, because if you ever quit working out, you'll be in here, you'll see me again by the time you're 40 with a slipped disc, and you're going to get a rod in your back. And I was like, that ain't happening. So I guess we're going to work out for a while.
Wow. I have really bad scoliosis myself. I'm what happens when you don't work out. So keep working out. That's wild.
You're pretty stout, Mercer. I wouldn't take anything away from you, man.
Now, so what does working out give you? Like, is it do you think it helps you mentally, or is it all just to fight your scoliosis?
It definitely helps me mentally, because like I feel like the majority of fishermen that are pretty, in it for the most part have some form of ADHD, because a lot of guys do. My mind is like a squirrel, so I'm all over the place constantly. I don't know how I get stuff done half the time, but when I get in the gym, that's the one time of the day where my mind is like turned off. Like I get in there and I got my music in, I'm doing my stuff. So I feel like it definitely helps with the mental side of stuff. And any of the stress, like if you're at a tournament that you're thinking you're going to suck at, and practice ain't going good, like the off day a lot, I'll go to a gym and stuff, and I'll lift some really heavy stuff, and it gets your mind off of it, and then you get in the tournament and you're calm the next day. So it definitely is. It's a lot all in one. And the guy I travel with, he's a big gym rat as well. So we'll go work out together, and yeah, it's definitely the root of it is more, for overall health, because I don't want to have a rod in my back one day. But the other side of it is there's a lot of benefits to it. You can lift a lot of stuff. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then, you're not going crazy every day. Your mind kind of calms down. So for me, it's a lot of things all in one.
Do you think it's kind of an evolution of the sport? Like if you look at the fitness push in fishing today versus, let's even say pre-Palnick, because I think Palnick was one of the big pushers for fitness initially. But you just look at Aaron obviously was, physical fitness was a big thing for him, but it definitely feels like similar to golf, like where golf at one time pre-Tiger was not about physical fitness, and it is more today. Do you think that has become more important when you look at all the guys you're competing against?
I really do. I think that, when you're in physically good shape, this is a very, very taxing sport on your body. I mean, there's so much adrenaline in your body pumping the entire time. I mean, you're up and down, you're throwing the trolling motor in, you're setting the hook however many times you got that rod. I mean, people don't realize how many casts we make a day. So, your shoulders, your arms, like before I started working out, working a jerk bait or something, dude, like I'd be 10 casts in and my forearm would start burning so bad I couldn't even hardly rip it no more. I mean, it's like the more you get in the gym and the more you're physically fit. I mean, Aaron was in tip-top shape. I mean, I remember seeing him at campgrounds. He would just go for a run at 9 p.m. just through the woods. I mean, he was about that life, dude. So, I feel like it definitely is a lot of benefits that translate over to the sport. I mean, like, Carl Jacobson, I just saw where he ran a marathon or something. Yeah. So he's insane. Him and Palaniuk goes and they go up in the mountains elk hunting. I mean, you can't do that without being physically in shape. So, all these guys, you're starting to see a lot of, like Tyler Rivette, he's a really big gym guy as well. So you see a lot of these guys that are starting to get more into it and more physically fit, and it definitely helps you perform, because when you have an excess of muscle and your body's used to going under a large amount of stress in a certain small environment, then you get into open fishing world and you're running around, you're doing stuff, you don't think about your body wearing out because you're already putting it through so much stress already.
Yeah.
So I think it definitely translates over a lot.
You said the gyms where everything gets quiet, the noises in your head get quiet. What is your head like when you're competing in a tournament?
It's it's pretty bizarre. My mind, I've got a constant music change up there, right? So, some days it'll be like pop, something like that. Some days it'll be rap. Some days it'll be just random thoughts like, man, I wonder if that squirrel found a nut over there by a tree today. And then all of a sudden a bass bites, it's like, I think you should ask that question to Kyle Patrick too, man. He is Mr. ADHD. That man needs to get in the gym with me.
His head is a lot of different places. Do you think that's an asset because you're always thinking of a lot of different things, or do you think that is a distraction where you're always having to focus on what you're doing?
I think if you don't learn how to control it, it can be something you got to fight, because if I'm just scatterbrained out there and I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing, then I definitely, it would be a bad distraction. But I think it's an asset, because when you get out there and your mind is constantly running. We've brought him up a couple times now, but Aaron was like, if you ever got around him away from like being on the water, his mind was just a constant Ferris wheel. He was always thinking. And I think that's what made him so good and so ahead of his time, was he was just constant. His mind never quit. He always had ideas running through his head. And I think you see that with a lot of guys that have like even my travel partner, Ethan, he's got crazy ADHD. He's all about it, man. So like he gets out there and he does random stuff that you wouldn't think would work. And then all of a sudden he ends up catching a big one during a tournament that changes the whole day for him, So I think when you get in tournaments so much, you learn how to kind of control it. I think you can really like home it in with the blinders on, and it works for you.
We've won 2 events in the last 4 months, 5 months, whatever it's been.
2 months.
It's been 2 months. It's been incredible. But what's even more incredible is both of them were majority won on topwater baits. Like, is that just your thing? Like, to win an event is tough, but to win 2 on both on topwater in today's day and age, that's shocking.
Yeah, I really didn't think it was I hate to even say this, but I didn't think it was possible anymore, to beat because the lakes, let's say this, it's definitely possible. But I think that the lakes that I did it on were so, like Leech Lake, for instance, that was a smallmouth blowout last time we were there, right? Yeah. And then coming back from 21st, I was in 21st. That's why my parents and nobody showed up to the weigh-in, because it was a 2-day event. So it was a really rare type event, how it was set up. And I was 3 pounds back from first, and I'm just catching largemouth on a frog up there. I literally weighed in every bass I caught on a frog up there. Every bass that I weighed in was on a frog. And, day one, I had 1910. I thought that was like mega bag. I couldn't top that. And then day 2, I go out and I catch 20 and a half, which blew my mind. And then I thought, well, I'm sitting up there on the hot seat and there's still, 3 flights left to come in. And I was doing the math in my head, I'm thinking, well, shoot, 'cause you get in enough tournaments, you're like, you kind of can tell when have a chance at winning. I was like, there's no way. Ain't no way. There was 20 people ahead of me that all they need is 18 pounds of smallmouth. This place has got so many smallmouth in it. There's no way. And then you get to the last 4 guys, and I already talked to the leader, and he's sitting over there. He only had 4 fish, and he looked up there at me, and I'm like, there ain't no dang way. And he walks up, and there it goes. I'm like, what the heck? I just won on a frog. So then, like, what the heck? So then we come down to Wheeler. Now, Leech Lake snuck up on me. I'll be completely honest. That one I had absolutely no chance in my mind. My dad he tried to talk me out of going to Leech Lake. And I'm never going to let him hear the end of it. He really did. Like, I was
He can never give you advice on anything for the rest of your life now. Remember that time?
Remember that time when you almost taught me how to go on the leech? So, yeah, before that tournament, I mean, it was good advice. I'll be honest, it was. I didn't think I could go up there and win. The only reason I ended up going was because I had already paid my entry fee in full, and I'd already paid for the hotel room up there. And he was talking me out of it because I had not made a check in 6 straight events. And every one of them was like far away. So I was just bleeding money, dude. It was so bad. It really hurts my feelings that I don't have, like, my GoPro camera broke. So I don't have any footage of me catching those big ones. It was so sad. So, like, I couldn't even afford to get a new camera. That's how broke I was. So, like, I was putting everything on a credit card going up there. And when I got to the dang tournament, you know, I'm just praying I catch a fish. So tournament rolls around and I end up winning it. So after that, it was like, wow. So now I can afford everything, you know, and I paid off all my debt and stuff. So that check went pretty quick. And then we get to Wheeler, and when they swapped, so originally, you remember we were supposed to go to Pickwick instead of Wheeler. They moved it because the town of Counts in Tennessee had actually kind of overlapped tournaments. So there was actually a college tournament there as well, the same exact dates, the same exact ramp. So it was going to be way too much going on there. So Hank made a great decision moving us, and the next place over was still Tennessee River. We went to Wheeler. So the second that came out last year, November, I love Wheeler because last year, November, I got third in that championship deal I fished and made a really big check throwing topwater. So I was like, oh my gosh. So my wife, my buddies, my dad, I told every one of them. I've never said this about a tournament, but I straight up told every one of them. I was like, that's the one I want to win. I've got to win Wheeler. That was before Leech. I'd never won a tournament still. And I was telling them all, I was like, I've got to win Wheeler. I have to. That's the one I want to win so bad I can't stand it. And then I win Leech. And then after Leech, they were all like, well, you still going to win Wheeler? And I was like, well, heck yeah. I'm going to try everything I can to win it. I'm going to win that one. And, you know, I get there. My practice absolutely sucked. It was so bad. Like, I don't think I caught but like 6 bass in 3 days out there. And I was trying. Like, I really was trying. And the wind was supposed to pick up. My whole deal depended on, like, no wind and all this stuff. So when I started where I caught them all in the tournament, that's the exact spot I caught them in November last year in that thing, doing the exact same thing. But last year, the difference was there was grass in there. And this time, the entire lake, like, they torched the grass in that whole lake. It was all gone. There wasn't a single blade of grass left anywhere that I found. Everybody was talking about it. The whole flats, all the Decatur flats, they were just barren, just mud flats with shale. Wow. So that area that I was in was dependent on grass. So I get in there, you know, and I'm going around and I'm trying to find fish. And there's one other dude in there and he's, you know, scoping out there in the middle and he's doing his thing. So I'm staying out of his way. I'm up on the mud flat areas. And the one advantage I had in there was when I fished it last, it was 2.5, 3 feet lower. So that bar I was fishing was totally out of the water except for the one dip where I had caught them. So like, you could get your boat through that dip because it was dry ground, and then it was a dip. And when I went across that dip in November, I remember there was shell there because I remember stirring it up, and I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. So this time I fished around in there until 9 a.m. and I didn't have a bite. And I'm thinking, this ain't good, man. I came in here to catch like a limit, I thought, and I ain't had a bite. So, you know, I'm bombing a chatterbait around trying my best to catch one. And then all of a sudden I catch one. I'm like, oh, shoot.
Avco not only makes incredible outdoor clothing, but they care about anglers with their 10% pledge. Avco and the Shed family donate at least 10% of the company's profits to conservation and making fishing better. Now back to the show.
And I went 100 feet further. I'm like, that dip's right up here in front of me. And I land the chatterbait. I thought they were all little ones because that's all I could get to bite the chatterbait. I landed up there in the saddle. And I get 4 to just rock it. Boom, boom, boom. And then I lock up with one. And it was like a 3. I didn't weigh him in that day, but caught a 3-pounder on it. And I was like, I bet they'll bite topwater. I picked that big boss up and I fired in there. It hits the water. And in 3 in a row, I caught 4-pounders in a row. 3 4-pounders in a row. Just smashing it, dude. It was ridiculous. They were so loud. The other guy that was in there could hear the blow-ups from way away where he was. Like, they were just wrecking it, dude. They were wrecking it. So to get in there and do that on that day one, I was like, shoot, I've got 21 and a half pounds on Lake Wheeler. This is stupid because I didn't have anything over 18 last year doing that. I had 50 pounds for 3 days last year and I got third. Well, this time I had 21.6 on day one. And I'm like, man, this is fire right here, dude. I'm going to come back here tomorrow. I'm going to save these fish, come back here tomorrow. I'm going to do it again. And day two, I come back in there and I get up to 22 like really fast. Like I got up to 22 by like 10 a.m. And I'm thinking, gosh, I might can win this. This is crazy. And the only reason that I didn't leave that place that day to go and save fish was because the other person that was in there was coming so close to me the whole time. Like you could tell because they were stacked in that one spot in there. So the rest of everything else in there wasn't near as good because them fish were using that saddle so much. So I never moved all day. And the whole reason I caught 25 pounds that second day was because I didn't move. Like I just stayed there. I was like, I'm not leaving. I don't want to lose this spot and lose the tournament because of it. So I didn't move. So I just kept casting around the spot back there, trying to guard it. I didn't want to burn no more fish. And then I caught 2 more 4s and called out both my low 3s. And I'm like, I got 25 pounds. This is stupid. So then I was like, I'm done. So I bent my hooks. That's the first time I've ever done this. I bent my hooks in during a tournament just to see how many bites I could get on the spot. It was stupid, man. And day 3, I get in there, and the other guy that was in there, he didn't make the final day, but he was so nice, man.
Wait, before you move to day 3, how much weight do you think, like if you were hooking everything, and it might have been tournament suicide to do that, obviously, but if you were, like, could you have added a lot to the 25, or would you just be culling for ounces with weight? Like if you hadn't bent your hooks in on day 2?
Say that again. Could you have added?
Do you think you would have added to your, could you have weighed in 27, 28 pounds that day?
I don't know how much I could have got up to, but the fish that blew me up, I had like 7 more blow ups the rest of the time in there, in that last 3-hour period. And 2 of them I know were freaks. So when they blew it up, I was like, they wouldn't just pop it and it would just get knocked in the air. I would have to press my button to let them come off. I'm like, wow. Oh my gosh, these are big. Wow. So yeah, it could have been, I think I could have had more. I don't know if I could have had 27. I know I probably could have called out that last low 4-pounder I had in there with something bigger. As I know, I saw one followed it all the way to the boat and ate it behind the motor. And I pretty much got to see him for the most part. And he was another one of the right ones. He was a 5 or better. It was a dang big one. And, that would have given me an extra pound. So I could have had like a 26 day probably, but who knows what would have happened on day 3, because I only got 5 bites in there on day 3, man. It was stressful. It was very stressful. And the first one I caught was a 5-pounder. Right off the bat, 10 minutes into it. 5-pounder eats it. And it could have been one of the fish that blew me up the day before that I shook off. So you never really know what could have happened. But yeah, day 3 was not what I expected, because I got so many bites in there on day 2 that I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to get in here tomorrow with that camera and just wreck them, just freaking wreck them. And I really didn't. I got in there and I got 5 bites. I had 6 total bites, but there were so few on that bar that were left that I know for a fact that same fish, because I fished the same line on the same cast for 20 more minutes, and that same size blow up come back and got it. And it was a 4 1/4 that I caught. So in my mind, I caught every fish that bit that day, because I didn't get another bite on that saddle. That was the last bass I caught in that saddle for the rest of the tournament. The other 3 came in random spots that were just bait runners in there. So boy, it was crazy. And then coming in, and man, Matt Adams, dude, he is such an awesome guy. Me and him were over there. We were like 2 kids. We were comparing our scales. We were like, all right, how much is your scale off by? I don't know. And he straight up told me, he was like, all right, look, I don't know if we can do this or not, but if it's a tiebreaker, you take the check and the trophy, I just want the classic berth, because I don't want to go back out there and fish. And I was like, I don't either, dude. I barely caught 5 today.
Yeah, you already got a classic berth. It was the best deal ever.
Yeah, that was the deal. But then he had told me what he thought he had. He thought he had 19.6, and I told him my scale's normally like half a pound light, and this was the first time ever that it wasn't. So like that face I made on stage where my eyes about popped out of my head when I saw the weight, it was because I thought, holy smokes, that's way too close. 2 ounces, man. That was like. I almost I almost puked on the mic. I was freaking out before I walked up there with my fish, man. It was I'll never forget that feeling. That was the craziest feeling I ever felt.
And to win that event and have your family there, so many friends there, and to do it on a body of water that your dad won, I think maybe his first big major event win was right there on Wheeler.
Yep. It was.
Had to be super emotional.
Gosh, man, it really was. Because funny story too. In practice, I'm a nerd. I have an Xbox, right? So I brought my Xbox with me, and we always watch YouTube videos, fishing stuff. I play a little Fortnite, whatever.
You're just feeding young angler stereotypes right now.
I know. Hey, at the hotel, it's $5 a day for the premium Wi-Fi, and I pay it, baby. I'm getting that premium Wi-Fi. So we're watching old footage the night before the tournament on the off day. Me and my fishing buddy are, and we're in there just chilling, and we pull up the video of my dad when he won. He actually won by 1 ounce because of the last fish he caught at the ramp on the last cast in the last 2 minutes. He caught a 2-pounder, and he put it in the box. He threw it in the floor, blasted off, got in, and then put it in live well. And that's what made him win. And that tournament was in 1998. That was the first $100,000 he'd ever won. That's what actually allowed them to move to Alabama. So he was 24 years old when he won there. And then to be able to go at 24 and I didn't win it as dramatic as he did, but, still to win at 24 there by 2 ounces, he won by 1 ounce, so close of similarity. Man, it was just so emotional. And all my family, my wife, my friends, I mean, I had my brother drove up from Tuscaloosa. So did an old friend of ours. He come up there, man. And gosh, it was so incredible. I think I had like 20 people there at the weigh-in. That was all friends and family, man. It was so special, dude. It was so special because, you're around these people all the time. They're all your support group, especially my wife. She wants to travel so bad with me. And then just to have her come up on stage, I've dreamt of that moment forever, man. Like getting her up on stage with me with a trophy, dude. That was special. That was that was more special than actually winning the tournament, I feel like, because all of them being there, every one of us dreams of that. I don't care how long you do this for, how many tournaments you win. If you win a tournament and your family isn't there, it's nowhere near as special.
What did your dad say to you?
He was crying a good bit.
Yeah, imagine so.
Yeah, he was crying. Don Barone, back in the day, he told my dad he would cry over a cupcake. So, he was.
He's definitely in touch with his emotions.
Yeah. And I was shedding a few tears myself because, man, it's so much you put into this just to try to win one. But yeah, we were back after we got off the stage and stuff, man. He was just so fired up. He come over and he was like, man, this is the coolest win ever. 24, we both won a tournament here. He said, the Howell boys like Wheeler.
It's pretty amazing. Another amazing thing about you that I've watched all your victories. Obviously I've watched you. I've watched everybody like you. You know what I mean? Everyone that grew up around the sport, like whenever there's, hey, so-and-so's doing good in a tournament, like everybody checks that out. And I'm obviously watching that. But one of the things that you excel in that a lot of young people kind of struggle with is your on-camera performance, so to speak, the way you are, your on-camera personality. Is that just how you always have been, or did you have to learn that a little bit to be comfortable at letting yourself out in front of the camera?
I definitely had to learn a little bit. This is a really funny and kind of embarrassing story, but I'm going to tell it just because like everybody's always asking like, how to get good at videos and this and that. I'm not the best by any means, but I try my best. But when I first started out in this, when I thought, well, shoot, I'm going to try to do this for a living, my dad was telling me how important the social media aspect and all that kind of stuff being in front of camera was. So I got out in the shop and I bought me a tripod like the one you're on right now on my phone. And I stood in the shop and I'm not kidding. I had a list of videos to try to knock out for certain baits or whatever. And, I about lost my voice in a day just out here talking to the camera. Like I had 151 takes on one specific bait. But I'm not kidding. I counted them all up when I deleted them. I'll never forget it. I had 151 takes just out here in the shop by myself, losing my mind, trying to learn how to talk in front of a camera. And then, because that's something that you kind of have to be good at in this sport. Because, you're a billboard for whoever you're promoting, and also you're your own brand. So, if you can't talk, there's no reason for anybody to want you in front of a camera for them. No tournament organization. Like, if you get a camera, and you're just sitting there dead quiet, just casting and reeling, nobody, I don't want to watch myself do that,
Yeah.
So, it took a lot of practice. It really did. Now, when I'm on the water in front of a camera, I try to talk more. But then when I catch a fish, that's just me. I'm just that fired up when I catch a fish. Like even with my buddies, like when we go fun fishing, in the winter or summer, whenever it is, but off season more than anything, we go out there and fun fishing. Like I don't care who catches the bass, dude. If a big one comes in the boat, I'm losing my mind. So as soon as a bass gets hooked, I'm like, oh. Keep him down. He's going to jump. Don't lose him, man. We need that one for a picture. Come on. So, it's just, it took a little practice for a lot of it. But when I'm catching a fish, that's just raw, no, all emotion me. That's just how I am. So.
Yeah. And I think what you did is the smartest. That's the advice I give anybody. Just if you want to get good at talking in front of a camera, talk in front of a camera. Just do it. And it's like anything, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. But, the fish fighting thing, I think something else takes over. People say and do things when they're fighting a fish that they don't even know that they're saying or do. You know what I mean? Until they watch the footage back. But you're very good at it, and it's great to see. So we need you on the Elite Series. How are we going to make that happen?
Oh, well, I'm trying. I am trying. I need to be out. I want to be out there so bad, dude. It's killing me. Like it's eating me alive. So the 3 event situation, I think the format is very cool. I really do. It is a very frustrating feeling to still be in 40th place and have had the season I've had. Now, even if it wasn't me, I'd be looking at anybody and saying, man, that really hurts, So I need one more. I had one bad day of fishing at Champlain. I came back almost 20 pounds on day 2. But that day 1 deal, I only had 3 bass. So wheels fell off on day 1 and it was not good. That's the worst day of fishing I've had this entire season. It was just not good. And day 2, I went out and everything just flowed right. I caught my weight back, but on a smallmouth lake, you can't really come back. That's just how them fish are. So unfortunate, but still not out of it. That win, it's a 95-point system, no matter how many boats are in it, because that's how many started. So, the last event, Okeechobee, I've really always loved Okeechobee, so I've got high hopes. But I'm 40-something, I'm like 42 or 3 points back, I think, from 10th. And there's a lot of hammers in front of me. So, I'm not, saying it's a guarantee, but I've still got a chance. I feel like a top 10, that's a 10th place is 85 points, right? So that's the 40 I need plus whatever that math is. I'm a fisherman, so my math ain't that great. But, I majored in fishing in college, like I said earlier. So all I know is a top 10 would give me a fighting chance. So I'm going to go down there and, boy, it'd be really cool to win another one. I mean, I'd love that.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. And you can't control it because there's people ahead of you that have to see. You just got to do your target's a top 10 and see how it all works out. Whatever way it works out, I'm sure, as frustrating as it would be not to make it, you can also look at this year and be like, well, there's a lot of highlights too. It wasn't so bad.
There's a lot of highlights, man. And next year, I like the format next year because the Opens and the Elites, I mean, it's going to be one with scope, one without, So, I mean, that's my style. I love no scoping. So maybe if I don't get in there this year, which I'm still very, very hopeful for, praying a lot for it, next year I'll be coming back with a vengeance regardless. I'm gonna get on them Elites if it's the last thing I do, Mercer, I promise.
Well, I'm going to ask you a painful question. What happened on day one at Champlain?
It was a couple variables. One that I had not anticipated, but all in all, I just made wrong decisions, and that's all it was to it. Made very, very wrong decisions in practice, made wrong decisions in the tournament. Should have listened to, what I originally thought. But either way, it was a tournament that I can look back on and go, I made the wrong decision in that one. So it was my fault for all the decisions that I listened to in my own head. But it's really weird how you get in that mode. I mean, you get in that downfall as you're spiraling. So like by lunchtime, people think, oh, well, shoot, you still got 3 hours left to fish. You can catch a bass in 3 hours. Whew, that's the hardest 3 hours of your life when you don't have but, 2 fish in the box. I had 2 in the box at 12 o'clock and I'm scoping. I'm out there, roaming around looking and stuff. And, it just spirals. You get every spot you stop on. It's like you can't make a right decision. Every spot you stop on, it's just a ghost town. You don't see anything but drum. And, then I finally, the last 10 minutes, I stop on a spot. I see one fish out there floating, throw a minnow at him. I know the scope police are going to get me for this, but I was throwing a minnow on the scope and watch a almost 5-pound smallmouth just come over there and smoke it. And I get him in the boat and I'm running back. I've got 2 minutes left to go and I stop within a mile of the ramp, stand up. First thing I see is a fish. I throw at him and comes up and he bites it. And I got too excited. I jerked it away and then that was it. I had no more time left. So come in and only with 3 bass, and on Champlain, that's a death sentence. So it was frustrating. But then day 2, I went out. I didn't really leave the ramp. I stayed inside of the ramp all day on day 2, which was crazy. That place got so many bass in it. And it was like every fish I threw at that day was the right one. They all just ran over there and ate it so easy. And I'm like, the whole time I'm thinking, man, why didn't I do this yesterday? I'm just kicking myself the whole time. So it happens, bad decisions. Once you get in a bad decision rotation, you just can't really get out of it during a tournament day. And it'll haunt me a little bit for a while. I'm hoping it doesn't inevitably ruin my chances of getting on the Elites this year, but it is only my second year on the Opens. So, 2 to 4 years is what I kind of figured for getting on the Elites in these anyway, because everybody's so good out here. So, if it ain't my time, it ain't my time. We'll get it next year, the year after,
I've run a Yamaha outboard for over 30 years. It has got me home safe each and every time. If you enjoy this podcast, remember, Yamaha supports it and they care enough about you to make this ad read very short. Now back to the show. Yeah, everything happens the way it's meant to happen. I believe that. And and I would love you to go smoke them at Okeechobee and that just be part of the story. I mean, hey, you overcame this. I have zero doubts that you'll be on the Elite Series in the future. What's your long-term goal? Like what is your dream?
My dream is to I mean, as cliche as it sounds, my dream is to really like kind of do the same thing my dad does. I mean, I've seen him and how he's excelled at, sponsorship deals and tournament wins and everything like that, and just making it in this sport without having to have a second job. Like fishing is his whole career. And that's what my goal is. And I don't have a backup plan. I've got my 100-ton captain license right now. I'm about to do it to a 200-ton so I can drive bigger boats, do tours, whatever. Lake Guntersville, I guide, full time. So my whole world revolves around fishing. So when I'm not at a tournament, I'm home. I'm taking guide trips. I've got a deal now where, I coach kids one-on-one. Like they pay me. I'll go anywhere in the state they want to go, any lake they want to go to. And if I don't guide there, I'll teach them how to break a lake down, that type deal. So literally everything my life revolves around is fishing right now. So this is plan A, and there ain't a plan B.
You had an amazing teacher growing up, and that is your mother. And there's all sorts of teachers that people have come in and out of their life, teach them for a grade or whatever. But she taught you for a long time. If you look at one lesson that your mother, and she's an amazing lady, taught you, what is it? What stands out to you?
It's a very similar lesson to what my dad taught me, but I'll tell you this, my dad taught me never to focus on your failures, because you're going to fail so much in this sport and in life in general and everything. Her probably number one thing she's ever taught me is to do everything slowly, because I feel like you get in a rush so much in life because you're looking at the next step, the next this, the next tournament, the next bass, but you kind of lose sight of my past self would have killed to be in the position that I'm in right now, but yet I'm still looking forward. So you do everything slowly. Once you catch a fish, get him in slowly, because he won't come off. Every time I've ever lost a fish is because I was doing it too fast. And I hear her in the back of my head, do everything slowly, slow down, just chill. You're good. It's all going to work out. So probably that one would be, but that's probably the number one thing she's ever taught me is do everything slowly. Because like I said, I'm scatterbrained and I do stuff pretty fast sometimes and it gets in my way.
Do you think if she was writing the report card, do you think she'd say you were a good student?
I think that I don't know what she would write, honestly. I think I wanted to fish so bad. So like most kids, to punish them, you threaten them with like, oh, you're going to get the belt, you're going to get time out, this, that, the other. My punishment was, you cannot go fishing today if you don't get your schoolwork done. And that was the last thing I wanted to hear. Worst punishment of my life. I will never, ever, ever forget this. And I'm not ashamed to say this. One time in high school, I wanted to fish so bad. My stuff, it was getting close to the end of the year. So, everything's getting really piled up and it's just stressful and it's taking too much of my fishing time. Right. So I got the bright idea to hope that she would not notice that I was not doing certain stuff. I would pick certain assignments to do and I'd leave the other stuff out that was taking too much time. And I will admit, I did lie to her. I told her straight up that I was doing everything, all the way through. And that was not a good decision because she found it right before we were supposed to go to one of the best private lakes in Alabama to just go and just wear them out, dude. The worst day ever. She found the work that I had not done the day before. I didn't get to go to the lake. Every single person there caught one over 8 pounds and they stroked them all day. I mean, it was stupid. That lake, that day they were stocking the place with a brand new shipment of gizzard shad, everything. So all them fish were just nuts and dumb. They caught them from daylight to dark. Everybody caught giants. And I was stuck sitting at a desk about to pull my hair out doing schoolwork. I was so upset. And I'll never forget that. I never got to go to that. I still didn't ever get to go back to that place because that was the one time they ever went. So I missed out on that because of that. So if she wrote the report card, I don't know what she would write.
Well, I know your parents, and as a parent, I could tell you, and kids hear this, and I don't think anybody really understands it until they have their own family. But trust me, that day, she hated you not being there. You know what I mean? Like, as much as like, I got to be a parent. Like, trust me, my kids do crap all the time where I'm like, what? Now I have to be, you're making me be a freaking parent. I'm going to have to, you're not going to be allowed to do this, or you're not going to experience this. And I was excited to see you experience this, and you screwed it up, but I have to be an adult. So,
yep.
Painful lesson, but I think you've learned from it. I think you've done pretty freaking good. I think I look at you as you've always kind of been a natural outdoors person. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember going to your house once to interview your dad. And weirdly enough, it was for a show that I was doing for WFN that was supposed to start and never really came to fruition. And the name of that show was Mercer. And it was like an interview show. And that's the whole reason this podcast is called Mercer, just because we had a logo from that show. Like, we needed to come up. I don't even like the podcast being called Mercer, but that was the name of the show. So I'd gone, and your dad had won the Classic, and I'd shown up there. And when I show up, I remember pulling in the driveway, and I remember you and Oakley are in like the woods hunting and doing stuff and running around, and you said hi and everything. And then I went inside, we did the interview. Then we went to lunch that day at some Mexican joint. And I remember us sitting at this Mexican joint, and this was, I mean, there's things that happen in your life that you're like, yeah, I never imagined. I was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland. I live in Canada. There's things I never expected to hear ever in my life. This was one of them, because you had ordered whatever you ordered. Let's say you ordered tacos, and you didn't eat very much of them. And your mom was on you, and she's like you're finishing. That's all you're going to eat for lunch. And I remember your response was something to, and maybe I've added something, but something to the account of, Mama, I ate 2 squirrels already today. I'm full. And I remember thinking, I didn't ever think I'd hear that in my life, but
I remember that story like it was yesterday. Right as you walked inside, I still remember this. I absolutely smoked one of them squirrels. I had a little pellet rifle, and you went inside. So while y'all were in there doing that, I was out there grilling squirrels.
I've never eaten a squirrel, but I'm sure it was good.
It wasn't. It really wasn't. I haven't had one. I haven't had one in a long, long time. Like, that was a deal I used to do when I was real little. I ain't done that in a while.
So you would shoot the squirrel, grill the squirrel, and just, I mean, that's a Tuesday for you, right?
Well, the rule was my dad. So I killed my first bird. I didn't even mean to do it. I had a little Red Ryder BB gun when I was, 10 or 11 years old, and I'm out there, shooting around the backyard, my camo pants on. And I'll never forget it. You never forget the first time that you actually go hunting and your first kill is. So I killed this little bird, and it was a dove. But the little BB really couldn't even pierce a person's anything. So I shoot this dove, and it didn't really fully finish the job. So I had to go get him. And then my dad said the rule was whatever I shot hunting, no matter what it was, I had to eat it. So I went in the backyard, and I figured out how to call the squirrels in, and I was like crazy about it. And then I would shoot the first squirrel I shot. He was like, all right, you got to eat it. Grill's out back. There's Dale's sauce in the refrigerator. He's thinking, and if you don't eat it, you can't go back out there. So shoot, I figured out how to eat it because I wanted to keep going.
From shooting squirrels to winning Bassmaster events, I think things have worked out pretty good for you, dude.
Man, I appreciate it. It's been a fun ride so far.
Well, the best thing is I think it's just getting started, and I can't wait to have a front row seat and watch it all go down. So go smash them on Okeechobee, and I'll see you at your home lake. I mean, how cool is that? You got to go catch them at Okeechobee because you get to freaking start your Elite Series career on Gunnersville.
With no scope, too. That's like my jam, dude. Get out there in the winter. I get to chunk and wine in the grass all day. Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
I am dying to do that, dude. I'm dying to do that. So, yeah, that one, I'll be honest. not that I'm saying this is going to happen, but if I happen to not make that, I'm going to be sitting there burning up inside watching live. It's going to kill me.
Well, I hope you're competing in it, but if you're not, we got a spot for you on the live desk. Come on, do some coverage. But I hope that you do not take that spot. I hope you're on the Elite Series next year. It's been awesome to watch you, and I thank you for spending a little time with me, dude. And let's go eat some squirrels together sometime.
I don't think we're going to eat squirrels, but I got a good Mexican place we can go.
Deal. Thanks. There you have it. Laker Howell, from eating squirrels to chewing up the competition on the Bassmaster Opens. That was a fun conversation, and I thank you for your time. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, and thank you for watching. As always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Do all those things that help stroke the YouTube algorithm and keep the grow going. Have a great week. Enjoy being, and as always, my friend, Bob Cobb, take it away.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, because Bob Cobb of the Bassmasters told you to. You hear?